Hey everybody, welcome back to NoDQ&A video right here on youtube.com/NoDQCW. And as always, NoDQ.com. Feels good to be back. Had a great honeymoon. I would like to thank everyone for all their wedding wishes and their best wishes in general. Thank you guys for that. But it feels good to be back here doing NoDQ&A video, getting back down to business. Got a lot of catching up to do. We had TNA Destination X last week. Austin Aries is the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We had Money in the Bank last night, and since Money in the Bank is fresh on everyone's minds, today I'm going to try to focus on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and the questions I got regarding Money in the Bank. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get down to your questions. Now that Dolph Ziggler has won Money in the Bank, do you agree that WWE should put him in a non-title feud with a veteran like Christian or Jericho and begin building him up for the rest of the year? And I also got a lot of questions in general. What did you think about Dolph Ziggler winning Money in the Bank? So to start off with the general question, I'm very happy for him. I think it's been long overdue. I agree with the general consensus about Dolph Ziggler that he is one of the most talented guys in WWE. He's got it all. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. Great look. Everything about him. Dolph Ziggler is a guy that has a tremendous upside in WWE, and it's the right time to pull the trigger on him now. You're trying to build up new talent, and he's a guy that people have been behind for years now. I remember back at SummerSlam 2009 when he was up against Rey Mysterio. The crowd was totally behind Dolph Ziggler back then. So he's a guy that people want to see pushed to the top, and hopefully he gets there. In regards to this other question, I would love to see a slow build for him. I'd like to see him in there with someone like Christian or Jericho and him start to build momentum towards becoming the world champion. But knowing how WWE operates, I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I think that it's quite possible that he'll just be thrown into a feud, or maybe he'll backdoor his way into a title win. I think that's the most likely scenario. There's talk about doing a triple threat at SummerSlam, Sheamus versus Del Rio versus Ziggler, and they'll have Ziggler cash in Money in the Bank that way. I don't know. But I'd like to see them push Ziggler the same way they pushed Edge. Let Ziggler start to build momentum and build up his character before he cashes in Money in the Bank. That's just me, and I'd like to see that happen, but I don't know. What are your predictions on John Cena's Money in the Bank contract? Mine are The Rock comes back for the 1000th episode. Rock versus CM Punk have a great match. Rock ends up winning, then Cena cashes it in and wins. Do you think this would make a good storyline? And I got a lot of questions here too about what are my thoughts on John Cena winning Money in the Bank. I know a lot of people aren't happy about John Cena winning Money in the Bank, and my response to that is if you bought the pay-per-view and were expecting a different outcome, then, you're a fool. Going in, most of us knew that John Cena was going to win Money in the Bank, and what I expect to happen is I don't think there's going to be any kind of surprise. I think John Cena will come out and announce when he's going to cash in Money in the Bank. Will it be at SummerSlam? I guess we'll find out very soon. Perhaps they'll hold it off till WrestleMania. I mean, one person threw the idea that The Rock wins the Rumble and then Cena cashes in the Money in the Bank against The Rock at WrestleMania in a rematch. I could very well see something like that happening. In regards to this question here about Rock and CM Punk on the 1000th Raw, I think that would be a little bit overkill, and I just don't see that happening. I think it would be too much in one night. And they already got a ton of people coming in for the 1000th Raw. They're going to be short on time as it is. And there's going to be so much going on. I just don't think that would be a good idea. But anything could happen. I think the best way to do it would actually be have Rock win the Rumble and then have Cena. The thing is, I don't know when Rock's going to be champion. So, I mean, there's so many ways they could go with it, and I'm sure WWE will change their minds several times. But yeah, I do see John Cena being a upfront about when he's going to cash it in. He's not going to do the sneaky stuff. One person suggested an idea where Cena cashes it on Punk in the heel fashion when Punk is unprepared. But, you know, John Cena, that's not going to happen that way. Yeah, not going to happen. How bad is TNA going to get hit by the whole DirecTV Viacom situation? It's a shame people are missing Impact when the show is the best it's been for a while. It's definitely a bad situation for TNA. The ratings were down quite a bit this week. But hopefully things get worked out. I mean, I thought it would be resolved by this point. And I suspect that sooner than later it will get resolved and things will be back to normal. But yeah, in the meantime, it's definitely going to hurt TNA at least a little bit. As far as the show being the best it's been for a while, not really sure I would go that far. But I mean, it's been better, and it definitely hurts when you're trying to bring exposure to a new champion and people can't watch the show. So that's definitely a negative, and like I said, hopefully they resolve it as soon as possible. And you have to give Austin Aries time. I mean, it's not gonna, regardless of what the rating is or what the TV situation is, one rating isn't going to make a difference. It's about building an audience over time. So it's a long-term process, and you can't just look at one rating and say, oh, this is not working. They got to give it time and see where things go from there. Where do you see the Aces of 8 storyline going? Well, first of all, I liked the initial angle they did where the guys attacked Sting when he was cutting his promo, and it seems to be hinting towards the idea that somebody's upset that Sting's being inducted into the Hall of Fame and he's the first guy. So perhaps this will lead to Jeff Jarrett being the one behind it, since he was the founder and he's upset that Sting got chosen over him. That seems to be the logical reasoning behind the storyline, but it could go in several different directions. I will say I'm not crazy about what they did on Impact this week with Hogan being laid out and Brooke Hogan being there, and that was just brutal. I mean, Brooke Hogan was terrible. Not a big fan of that storyline coming off Impact this week. And the whole thing with the cards, I thought it was really low rent personally. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I suspect it'll be someone like Jeff Jarrett behind it, but we'll see. Do you agree that the only pro side of having a 3-hour Raw is that guys like Drew McIntyre may actually get more TV time? Although I really think they'll struggle, especially with the roster being so weak. Well, after watching Are You Serious this week, I'm not so sure guys like Drew McIntyre are going to be getting more TV time. And I'll talk about that more in the coming days, the whole Are You Serious situation, because I got a lot of questions about that. But in regards to the question here, yeah, I still think it's going to be a struggle. Even though they have the extra hour, I still think they're going to run short on time. And what I think is going to happen is that segments that usually go 15 minutes are going to go 20 minutes now. So for those of you that don't like the long, dragged out promos, I think it's only going to get worse. I think that they're going to have John Cena out there talking more and, more stuff with AJ, more backstage segments. And in the end, a lot of guys are still going to be left off TV, and you're not really going to see a whole lot more from people you haven't seen much of. That's the reality there. I just think they're going to drag things out more. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of new segments and new characters being introduced. Just don't see it happening. Hey Aaron, where would Undertaker rank as a box office attraction and as a pure technical wrestler? As far as a box office attraction goes, I mean, he was never like the main guy, but he was always consistently one of the top draws for WWE, and his character was always seen as something special. And especially with the streak in recent years, I mean, Undertaker has definitely been a huge draw for WrestleMania and the whole concept of the streak. So in the case of WrestleMania, he would be one of the biggest draws in the history of WrestleMania. Beyond that, I mean, he's made somewhat of a difference, but obviously not as much as a guy like a Hulk Hogan or a Steve Austin, but he's definitely up there. And as far as technical wrestling goes, I mean, he wasn't all that good in the 90s. He definitely got better over time. And I also think part of it was the people he was working with. In the 90s, you know, it's not fair to judge him so much because he was in there with guys like Giant Gonzalez and King Kong Bundy and some really bad matches in Mabel. I mean, so when he's in there with someone good, I mean, it brings out the best in Undertaker. When Undertaker's in there with someone like Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, they bring out the best in him. And yeah, like Kurt Angle, when he's in there with those guys, I mean, we really do get to see a different side of the Undertaker and a more technical side. And he does a really good job. I mean, for a big man, he's one of the best, no doubt about it. Hey, my question is, why do people criticize The Rock for not being back full-time? I mean, if he was back full-time, they'd be moaning that he's taken someone else's spot on the roster. Good point there. The thing about The Rock is that he is a nostalgic act. When he comes back, we're looking at him, and he's a past superstar, and we're reliving the old Rock moments. There's not really a lot he can bring to the table in regards to being a new star. I mean, he is a figure of the past, and it's best to bring him back in small doses. When he's back full time, you're right. He is taking up somebody else's spot, and you know, it gets old. It'll get old hearing the catchphrases over and over again, and we like it because it's something cool that we remember from the past, and we get to see it again. We get to see him in there with some of the new guys like John Cena. But yeah, it would be a mistake to bring him back full time. I think that what they're doing is the best way to go. Bring him back as a special attraction. You look back at Hulk Hogan when they tried to bring back Hogan on a full time basis. It flopped. I mean, people did not want to see Hulk Hogan every week. What worked was when they brought him back on occasion, and they bring him back for a special dream match, like SummerSlam with Shawn Michaels or SummerSlam with Randy Orton. Those pay-per-views did huge buy rates because Hulk Hogan was brought back as a special attraction, and you got to see Hulk Hogan in there with one of the new guys. So that's what works best for The Rock. Bring him back every now and then and put him in there in a dream match type situation. But yeah, I think it would be a mistake for him to be wrestling on a full-time basis, and I think people would get tired of it really quickly. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A Video. Thanks as always for watching. Like I said, I'm back. Tell a friend, tell anybody you know who watches wrestling, let them know about No DQ&A Video. Send a link to the video, post it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. So stay tuned. Got a lot more coming this week. We'll see you then.